learn a lot of roles, become able to use almost all of the equipment, vehicles, different stuff. Of course, we'll be expanding the skills as well. But essentially, you have to find what you want to do and go for it. And these are some examples of what those choices might be. Others might include something like, do you want to be in a combat role, or do you want to be support? Would you like to sit in the MCC, or be in the ground?
Or industry?
Yeah.
Do you want to fight at all or not?
Yeah, and this, of course, ties into the whole Eve Dust Link gameplay as well, because we're kind of mixing the lines. You might be playing Eve and influencing Dust in a serious way, so it becomes very blurry which game you're actually playing if you're an industry guy in Eve, supplying Dust mercs. So, this, we set you on this path when you begin the game, and you will choose, similar to Eve, you will choose a specialization. Well, Eve, I guess in Eve it doesn't matter as much. We will actually give you some skills, because as an FPS player, you want to kind of have some kind of a starting point, a starting framework, and then you can work from that. These are examples. Like this here is an enforcer fit, which is just a basic guy, Grunt with an assault rifle and an assault drop suit, and some grenades. It has militia modules, or civilian stuff. And
maybe explain a little bit what the militia modules are in that context. So, militia modules for us are BPOs, essentially. They are permanent items that you can never, lose. Versus our blueprint runs. And actually, can you explain a little bit about how that works from an economic standpoint and from the fitting standpoint?
This will all be explained in the economy dev blog.
Yes, but can you give them a hint?
So we'll have some permanent items, similar to civilian items in Eve, or basically your starting equipment. This is an example of that. So in Dust, when you play in a battle and you die, you lose what you had. You lose one set of what you had on. And these items are basically, you have unlimited copies of them, so you will never run out. But other stuff that you purchase from the market, or really specific, rare pieces of equipment, for example, that are manufactured by some Eve corporation using a secret recipe, those will run out, and you won't have unlimited numbers of them. So if you make something, it will churn out of the economy eventually. If we, let's say, we put unlimited time offer to the market just to test out something, people buy it, we cut it off, we can expect it to churn out eventually. Of course, people might be hoarding it, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens. But everything, the basic assumption is everything gets churned out. Anyway, back to this. What you do in the beginning won't box you in any way. So this is just the starting point. You will be competitive with whatever you choose. And you will basically have a lot of chances to take another path. You won't be just set on a path and then kind of, oh man, I have to create a new character now because I fucked up. That's not going to happen. And
well, you might have fucked up in a different way. When you're ostracized or something, then you have to create a new character.
Yes. But, yeah.
I'm not saying that you...
Are you referring to my past?
Yes.
Like I said, starting point, multitude of options. Many places to go, many places to explore. And when you actually start playing the game, this is what I referred to in the beginning. You can't kind of make those choices before you know the game. And once you start playing the game, you will see, you have basically many ways of discovering how you want to go forward. So you might be very analytical and see, well, what can I do as a player? What can I, like, am I good at shooting people in the head or shooting people from a cannon on the MCC, or actually just being commander or a squad leader? What's my strength? What's my weakness? Then you might be, like we've seen in EVE, people discover new ways of countering different tactics and coming up with new strategies to defeat the enemy. And in Dust, you can do this as well. You can basically, our systems, we're trying to build our systems in a way that would allow emergent gameplay and new tactics being developed to counter some of the points. But I'll get back to that later. And yeah, of course, this is really an important point, because this is why you play the game, fundamentally. So finding out what's the thing for you and what do you enjoy as a player. Then this is the same stuff I talked about just now. I outsourced this presentation to China. I really did.
You're very good at that.
Yeah. Some spelling errors. So this is a kind of what we're going. This is not a real representation of the skill tree, but it will be very similar to EVE. A lot of different paths to take, a lot of combinations, and like I said, you can't skill up in everything. You have to specialize. But each path you add to your existing skill set will open up new possibilities, and I'll show you how that works. And once you become more versatile, what happens is that you are able to react to different situations on the battlefield faster. Unlike in EVE, where you basically have to get back to the station. If you die, you get back to the station, get a new ship, get back to the fight. That might take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes. For us, it's you die, you can basically deploy again immediately with different stuff. So it's much more reactionary.
Or even refit on the battle.
Yeah.
Using supply depots or any other structures that offer that service.
Yeah. So this means when you skill up, you'll become much more reactive on the battlefield. And you can do basically adapt to whatever situation comes up. Yes. Just to underline my point. 1 a.m. And before that, 2 a.m. Sorry?
Yes.
Brain does not compute.
Do you want me to click? I can click ahead of you.
Is it good? That actually frees up some bandwidth for talking.
I'll click.
No. Step back, sir.
Yeah. Step away from the clicker.
And so this is what I showed before, Enforcer. It's just really basic. Has some basic skills. Skills use these things here, assault dropsuit, assault rifle, and some grenades. And he's not super good. If you're a skilled FPS player, we've had playtests where we pitted just basic militia guys against guys in prototype gear, and they can manage. It's really frustrating if you played with the prototype stuff to scale back to the militia stuff, because they're not doing that well.
It's also frustrating to see the kill message when someone kills you with militia, assault rifle or something, and you're all tanked up.
Yeah, that's going to be especially interesting with the kill mails and everything.
Yeah,
we're planning
combat logs and kill mails,
planning to do combat logs so that you can go back and yes.
And the analytics, the heat map, being able to see who killed whom, who killed you with what weapon, and so on and so forth. So there'll be multiple avenues of knowing what they killed you with.
Yeah, and that could also potentially feed into how you develop your gameplay. So basically looking at heat maps. This is something that was supposed to be in the keynote yesterday, But yeah, we kind of started the match too early, so you didn't get to see the heat match.
Yeah, we were rotating the cameras onto the map in the middle of the war room, and the clunk, the battle started. Like,
yeah.
crap.
I was going like in the demo room where we had the team playing. I was going like, what the fuck? What happened? How is this starting? We had done this many times before, never had this problem, and just blew up.
Eager to start killing.
Eager to start killing. Rental employees? No. If you add some stuff to this, you'll start to become more versatile. So this guy basically, we've added a nanohive and scrambled pistol and some more shields. And he's immediately more sustainable in combat because he can refill his ammo. If he has a repairing nanohive, he can actually get some more health back or armor back, rep his armor. And scrambled pistol is a sidearm, so you can just switch to that if you run out of ammo. Like your primary, the assault rifle runs out of ammo, then you just switch to the pistol and cap some people. If you add some more stuff to your skill set, you can do something completely different. And this is Scout, which is a really fast drop suit, and it's very, very mobile. Jumps higher, moves like sprints faster, and it's very lethal with a shotgun. Shotgun isn't in this build that you're playing now, but it's in the latest of the latest, and it's an awesome.
What you will be playing in April.
Yeah, yeah, it's an awesome close combat weapon. And for example, the heavy is in deep trouble if a scout gets really close because the turn rate and the mobility is limited and the scout can basically just outmaneuver it. And the kinetic catalyzer is speed enhancers, so that will make it even faster, basically. Then adding some more stuff, you get a completely different kind of an approach. This is a scout with a drop uplink. This is basically a runner. Drop uplinks are mobile spawn points that you can throw on the ground. So you can basically run through the enemy lines and plunk down some drop uplinks to get your team in a better position. Then adding some more stuff, even more stuff, we have now the swarm launcher here, some armor plates. We get something like you might have played the hands-on yesterday. This is basically the shock assault, and it's very effective for spamming rockets in close quarters or taking out vehicles. That's actually the primary function for the swarm launcher, but it doubles really well as a close quarters mayhem thing. Then, even more, snipers. Everyone loves snipers, or
who loves snipers?
Who hates snipers?
The same people.
Oh. I think it's a love-hate relationship. It's always fun to be a sniper. It always sucks to get killed by a sniper. But basically, this is just adding to the scout stuff we showed before. Sniper rifle, and most importantly, active scanner, which is a combined rolled mechanic, allows you to ferret out the enemy's positions. And this build that we have now doesn't have the more advanced, it doesn't have the active scanner yet.
Yeah, the fog of war and electronic warfare features are in mainline, but not in...
Yeah, so we're developing more elaborate systems for scan levels and basically figuring out where people are, masking yourself from scans.
And where the commander can deploy structures, he needs to actually have visibility through the fog of war. And he can only get that by coordinating with the infantry. That's where the active scanner and such modules come in.
Yeah. Do you know this guy? Yeah. So, heavy drop suit with a forge gun, and now you actually, if you are this guy, you actually have a really versatile set of drop suits already. You're quite, how to say, versatile on the battlefield. And if a heavy vehicle comes up, you can get this guy. If you need to make a run, capture some objectives, you can go for a runner or a sniper or just a shotgun scout. Takes out some of these guys. Yeah, you'll kick ass. And of course, we haven't talked about vehicles yet, so when the guns get bigger, things get more interesting. And the same kind of a progression structure applies to vehicles as well. So we have different skill trees for vehicles, and they, in many ways, they function in a similar way as the drop suits. You might have seen the fitting. It's exactly the same framework as fitting the drop suits. Vehicles, of course, feature different kinds of roles. Drop suits are more,
Well, there is one significant difference between drop suits, weapons, and then the vehicles, and weapons and turrets, obviously, and then the vehicles. The vehicles follow the item progression style of EVIL 9, where you have a base frigate or a battleship or something, and then you have a tier 2, and then you might have an advanced one or a tech 2 version. It uses the same hull, but introduces an array of new abilities or different bonuses and stuff like that. The vehicles work like that. When it comes to the drop suits and the weapons, they are split into tiers, the standard, advanced, prototype. And within each tier, you have different variants. So this is, we want more guns. But also the vehicles, like Eino is saying, they're bigger weapons and bigger impact on the battlefield, and bigger need for clever usage of modules to define your role. So we've taken a conscious choice of kind of having those things a little bit different, but also the vehicles are the closest to Eve. It's going to be very natural for you guys to understand how the vehicles work. So
we'll talk a little bit about that specific point in just a moment.
See, we're not...
I don't know what's next. Ooh. So...
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Just that I love this vehicle.
You gaze at it and sigh.
Yes. Eino and Ivar were tuning it, and then it dropped into the game at one point. And while everyone were training up for snipers, I started training for this guy. And it fucking rocks, right?
Yeah, then we had a long conversation about nerfing it, and after it was like, no! And we were like, yeah, dude, it's super overpowered.
So he made bigger weapons that can kill it.
Yeah. That was enjoyable for him, not for other people.
But now we have stasis weapifiers and energy drainers and stuff, and you become quite vulnerable in a choke point in any vehicle. So.
We're getting closer to the end of the presentation, but we'll talk a little bit about combined roles, which is a really familiar topic to you guys. So all of these abilities together, they're not just for your, I'm just a lonely guy and I'll just go ahead and kill some people. That's not the best way to go in a match. We're actively seeking to encourage you to play with your team. We have systems to support it, similar to Battlefield. Basically, you earn contribution points from your actions. All of your actions that contribute to the success of your team earn you points. Those points then contribute to your skill gain, for example.
Active skill gain.
Active skill gain, yeah. And also your share of the contract money that you will get. So,
similar to a Battlefield, you have squads.
Yeah.
And of course, unique to this game are gang modules and squad modules and stuff that can even, enhance that.
And we're trying to make it so that playing with your friends or just playing with your team should be extremely beneficial for you as a single player as well. And of course, more serious engagements like 0-0 corporation warfare, these things should become critical so that the team who is best at combined roles will be the one who wins. And just as an example, these are infantry, 2 guys on the ground. There's a heavy on the left with a forge gun, and there's a scout on the right with a drop uplink. And here we get the guys again. They're facing against a dropship. That's a very dangerous enemy. Oh. Well, this guy is slightly different. He has a web generator, which is a stasis webifier, essentially. And each of these guys, alone, they would have a hard time taking down the dropship. Although some of you might disagree, having used the forge gun yesterday. But bear with me. It's going to be an interesting point here. So alone, they would have a hard time, but see, the dropship just floats about, can't be catched until this guy nails it down with a webifier, and the other guy takes it down. Then with vehicles, if you had a situation like we had yesterday in the keynote with a massive blockade at an entrance of an outpost, and you couldn't get in, you might want to do something like this. If you didn't have, let's assume for a moment that you didn't have orbital strikes at your disposal. You have an HAV, and then you have, for example, you could have any of these vehicles as long as you have PG and CPU to fit all the required modules. But in this case, 2 dropships in the sky, and they both have remote armor reps. And they're just floating in the background, repping the HAV who's taking point and trying to breach the blockade. And, of course, repairing themselves, like each other as well. It's going to be awesome. We tried this already. It kind of didn't work because the mechanics for locking and keeping lock weren't really polished enough, but great concept, super fun. And in the end, like we started off, it's going to be about you guys. Just define what you want to do and discover what you're good at and why you're waving. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
And if you guys have any questions,
yeah, we would. Now we can sit down.
No, it's not that good.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, you.
I just had a question for people. What are the maximum size of the squads?
Are we talking about squads?
I don't know.
The command hierarchy?
I don't know.
But we could probably say.
The bomb in my back of my head is ticking.
It's 6, but currently it's 6. Yeah.
What is the roles of the squad leader? What kind of special stuff can he get?
Well, he's the only one that sees certain communication from the commander, so that he then takes and relays in whatever way he sees fit. But he also can deploy things, and he can fit special modules that kind of amplify the others in the squad.
Yeah, the information management has been an interesting challenge because we don't want to. The commander needs to see a lot of stuff. He needs to have a lot of intelligence from the battlefield, while the infantry guy doesn't really need to see all that much. They'll actually get confused if they see too much. So we're trying to develop systems that will gate that information and basically pass it down from the commander to the squad leader, who sees a bit more, and then the infantry level.
Basically, you said that when you die, you lose all your special equipment you have. But considering how Eve is, are you going to go on the same line then? When you shoot a plane and he drops a special item, you can just run over, steal his gun, and use it, and when the round ends, you just keep it and put it in your own hangar if you're still alive by that point. Loot.
Yeah. Are we talking about loot?
No, not yet. we have loot. And loot comes in two different kind of, flavors. Something similar to what you're saying. We're not going to talk about it in detail right now, but it is similar. And then loot that feeds into the special ingredients and recipe and items that Eino hinted at earlier. Something to do with, research and crafting and stuff.
I was wondering, all this stuff that you carry on yourself, is it crafted in Evo or it is something that comes just...
That's a very good question. Ultimately, I would like to have an economy that actually runs by itself. But in the beginning, we won't have that. So in the beginning, we will be basically supplying the equipment basically through NPC orders. But this is basically, we need to start like this and then see what happens and then find a balance before we can open things up more. Hands higher.
This guy there, I think, he's getting tired.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a follow-up. So you lose your stuff when you die.
Can you wait a little bit? Oh, yeah, follow. Note that. He's really tired.
So this kind of goes back to the point I made earlier about how we control the information, and for us that is a challenge. Something we're actively now actually at the moment working on, developing systems that allow you to get the right information at the right time, but not noise. Basically, avoiding noise, delivering the right stuff. And for example, as a scout, we could do something like if you zoom in and use your sniper rifle, we could actually relay the drop suit type, what weapon is he carrying, that kind of stuff on the scope.
So you can do actual scouting information.
Yes, yes.
And then broadcast that information if he has the appropriate modules.
So you lose your stuff when you die. Is the idea then that people are really trying not to die ever in a match, or is the idea that players will probably build up like, okay, I'm going to build up maybe 10 of this particular build because I like it before I even bother going into combat because, if I'm building up one build and then I lose it, then I'll look back to my, what do you guys, civilian level type gear.
Well, the barrier of entry when it comes to cost isn't actually that high. You would purchase something like 50 runs at the same time.
And one really important feature that we don't have in this build either is restocking your fittings while in a match. So even if you run out of stuff, you can just make a market order and refill your fit immediately on the spot without actually having to go to the market and find all the stuff again.
You're talking before about information management. How are you currently thinking about information being shared between players in terms of from the scout to the rest of the squad, from the commander to the entire group, and even from them to, say, the orbital department people in need? Where are you guys going with that?
Can we talk about voice communications?
Yes, we can.
Oh.
You'll just call the EVE player.
Yeah. So we're essentially using the same voice platform as EVE does, so Vivox.
And chat.
Yeah.
And everything.
So EVE chat and Dust chat are completely shared. So that works. And then the voice platform that we use is also shared. So you can just call the EVE guys and be on the same voice chat with them.
Yes.
just in your time and in the money.
The questions are not using mics and you can't hear.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. We'll repeat the questions. So, yeah. Can you repeat the question so we can repeat the question?
NCC and the war barge be able to have fittings just like this that will help them do particular roles or particular things?
Yeah, so the question is, will the MCC and the war barge be fittable with really big modules and stuff? Yeah. Yeah, the MCC at the very least. The war barge, it's one of those things that we're going to get into a little bit later. We have, but yeah, you can assume, like, you know, it's like Eve.
Oh, this
Everything's-
sparked more questions.
Uh-oh. Celine?
Oh. What's...
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Let's take you first.
So I noticed a lot of frontal assaults, and there's a lot of people playing this game, as those that we've seen on the console before. So you have a frontal assault, and everyone's distracted. What about an infiltration scheme? Will there be almost a sense like cloaking, covert ops, pursuits, or gunships to go around and drop in? So while the entire people are enforcing and you have to blow up a specific objective, like you showed, you could distract the entire team, go around with a covert ops gunship, drop some scouts, arm the bomb, whatever, flag.
So you want cloaking? Yeah, we have that. Yeah. We have a Black Ops variant of the HAV, Force Recon variant of the dropship.
What about pursuits? Like spies, not spies, scouts, snipers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simply yes.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of, it was so long.
So yeah, the question was cloaking. Will we have cloaking for infantry and vehicles?
Yeah, in a covert ops.
Yeah, and basically
context.
covert ops gameplay, having distractions and going around instead of just having full frontal assault all the time.
The vehicles. How many vehicles and types are you planning on having at launch, and how crazy do you see this getting? Because all we've seen is the tank and the little dropship. How much are you going to have at launch, and what's in your plans for that?
How many, so the question is, how many vehicles will you have at launch? And this, I assume, is not only the vehicle classes, but also the roles under those classes. I mean, obviously, we cannot, like, create an insane number of unique vehicles, you know, when it comes to the mesh. It's, you know, memory and whatnot. But we have a lot of roles under them. So what you're seeing here may look very similar, but they're actually very different when it comes to attributes and stuff. But yeah, to answer the question, we will have 3 main classes per race. And then those classes come in 6 roles or something for the LAV.
Yeah.
Probably 7. I can't remember. Like, but
I say,
it's a lot.
yeah, roughly that.
Yeah.
Roughly
And
that.
should I?
Yeah. No.
I mean, we're talking like tanks, jeeps, little air.
I saw this. I saw this coming. I totally saw this coming.
Yeah. I mean, what are we talking about?
MTACs. Yeah. But they will come in a little bit later. We're gonna focus on these. Yeah, MTACs, like from Tony's book.
Good, stomping dusty.
Yes. Yeah, no, ripping apart HAVs. No.
Let's take one from here.
So, at the moment, when you point your gun at an enemy, you can see its health bar. It's really easy to spot them from far away. Are you going to get rid of them?
That is actually, so what you guys are playing is, it's something that we developed internally to focus in on the FPS gameplay, to tighten it up. And like Eino was saying before, some of the situational awareness, scanning and stuff like that isn't in this build. So yeah, you see a lot further than you will in the game. You
Yeah.
will need to rely on scouts, on, you know, your friendlies to scan certain areas for you to see the enemy locations.
Yeah, basically, the systems that we have in this build are very much work in progress, placeholder systems that we developed for our internal tightening purposes, basically getting the FPS gameplay working better.
Yeah, this is the private trial that we've been playing internally here at Sony since last year.
Yeah, but and this whole thing ties into the topic that we've touched on a couple of times, basically creating systems that show you the exact information that you need, nothing more, avoids noise. The whole like seeing icons and health bars and how they look, what information do they show, that ties very much into that discussion, and the scanning levels. You might see different things based on how good the scan is for a certain individual, for example. So it's all tied together in that. Gentleman at the back, please.
Will there be fitting options for stuff to maximize your economic gain or your financial gain in the match? Like, I don't know, the equivalent of a salvager, things like that, to increase, I don't know, like, you just go around and are getting more bang for your buck for the kills for the rest of your side.
So the question is, will there be modules available that offset or increase the
Basically,
gain?
allow you to make more money or resources from, loot. Yeah.
Not at first. Salvaging or scavenging, salvaging, that kind of stuff is something we want to develop in specific game modes and in the bigger PvP game modes. But we're not starting with that. We have a specific mode of the game, the agent missions, PvE content or co-op content where you fight against rogue drones and that kind of stuff. Where, I mean, yeah, you will have some modules that give you some benefit and stuff, but in PvP we won't start with that. That's one question.
The gentleman at the front, please.
How many things can be on the map?
A lot.
A lot.
Well, currently we're at half the team, or half the players.
So
and half the vehicles.
currently 24 vehicles. That's what our servers and systems are comfortable with at the moment.
We have, and just, I know Brenton, he really wants us to say, but we have run tests with a lot more players than 48. And it's important for us to kind of communicate that all of our systems, or at least this is what we strive towards, game system, game mechanics, they're built to scale. Because over time, we want to have matches that are far bigger than 48. So we're very conscious about that, and how our terrain engine works, how all of that works is built, to scale in the future. Oh, that's good.
Everyone here has been given a DAS 514 beta key.
514.
Yeah, 514, sorry. Shut up.
Such an asshole.
So, when you create a beta character and the game is released, do the characters actually transfer over to the release, to the final release? So do you get to keep your equipment and skill points that you've earned during the beta?
Looking for Kjartan. Where is he? Yes, but we will do some wipe. I mean, obviously, we're changing the game during the beta and stuff, but your identity and stuff.
Yeah, and so we're looking into ways to do that in a smart way. We might need to wipe everyone's inventories, for example, but in that case, we'll look to reimburse the players who have been in the beta. Like if you gain skill points, for example, we might just grant everything back. But the exact details of that are still being worked on. I think we have time for a couple more.
Yeah, 2 more.
You can choose this time, Atli.
Oh, he has the mic, so he chose himself.
You win, sir.
Yeah, cool. You've got squad commanders, so I'm assuming you're going to have leadership skills, such as you've got in Eve at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's a one question.
I'm sorry if it has been answered before, but do you have any length of time in the battles or so? I mean, a little count on the top corner that says 20 minutes or time frame.
Yes, in the team deathmatch game mode that we're playing here, there's under the minimap, there's a timer all over the minimap. There's a timer that shows the remaining length of the match.
Is that only included in the team deathmatches, or are you planning to do something in every kind of game?
It depends on the game mode, I guess.
Yeah.
So
The smaller game modes definitely have it. The ones that are like, skirmish and ambush and stuff.
Yeah, and it's basically here. We just have to limit the length because we had an internal tournament. We had basically serious games internally, and before that, we had never had any problems with match length. Every match ended in 10 minutes. People just slaughtered each other. Just absolute massacre. Everyone died. 10 minutes. That's over. Then we had a serious game with the same clone count. And this means, like, clone count means how many times you can spawn in, how many kills each side needs to get. And I witnessed a match that lasted for 1.5 hours because people just basically locked everything down and had super tight control. No one goes out.
This is we have to go into more detail on this at some point, maybe in a blog post or something. But yeah, we basically split up into corporations, and it became ultra competitive, and griefing and spies and misinformation being spread. Tom, our design producer, went up to one of the game designers and said, "Have you noticed a bug with the shield?" And he's like, "No." He started trying to test it and stuff. So he went in the cantina and talked to a couple of programmers. They're like, and they talked to their teams. And suddenly all the other teams switched from shields to armor tanking. And they won.
And the funny thing is, the QA team that was really good, they all knew about it.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, some hardcore EVE players, and they absolutely hammered that competition. I mean, they ruled, of course, being EVE players.
Okay, I guess we can take one more.
One more.
Over there?
No, that's...
No, okay, sorry, you pick.
War barges. What's the story with war barges?
They're spaceships. Big. No, they're, I don't know. How big are they?
I don't know.
2 kilometers or something? At first it'll be limited, but over time it'll be a lot. Or, like, just like with the link in general, we're keeping it, relatively limited, and then we expand on it over time. I think we're done. We need to, like, set up something else in this room, but you can just corner us at the pub crawl. Yeah?
Thanks.